We are the hosts of heaven, countless in number, servants of the Eternal One who spoke all things into being. For ages, we have stood as witnesses to His majesty and agents of His will, carrying His messages, enacting His justice, and rejoicing in His mercy. We sang at creation's dawn, marveling at the beauty of His work, and we mourned at humanity's fall, watching sin take root in the hearts of His beloved. Now the moment we have long awaited has arrived, the return of the King, the righteous judgment of the earth, and the final defeat of evil. We have seen the signs as foretold by the prophets. The earth groans under the weight of sin, its foundations trembling as nations rise against nations. Famines sweep across lands, and pestilence claims countless lives. The hearts of men are restless, divided by strife and consumed by rebellion. The dragon, the beast, and the false prophet, empowered by the darkness, have sown deception across the earth, leading multitudes astray. The stage is set, and the hour has come for the great and terrible day of the Lord. From our vantage point in the heavenly realms, we have witnessed the culmination of prophecy. The sixth angel poured out his bowl upon the great Euphrates River, drying its waters to prepare the way for the kings of the east. It was a striking sight, a river reduced to dust, signaling the approach of armies drawn together by the forces of darkness. 3 unclean spirits, grotesque and vile, emerged from the dragon, the beast, and the false prophet. These demonic entities, empowered by Satan, performed miracles and signs, deceiving the rulers of the earth and rallying them for war at a place called Armageddon. This was no ordinary battlefield. Armageddon, the plain of Megiddo, had seen countless wars throughout history, but none like this. We saw the armies of the earth gather, their numbers vast, their weapons gleaming under the dim light of a corrupted world. They were driven by pride, hatred, and defiance, convinced they could stand against the Almighty. It was both tragic and futile. Then, a sound filled the heavens, a command from the throne, resonating with power and authority. It was the voice of the King. We, the armies of heaven, assembled in perfect unity, clothed in fine linen, white and pure, mounted upon white horses. The moment had come for us to follow Him into the final battle. As the heavens opened, a radiant figure appeared, riding a white horse. It was the King of Kings and Lord of Lords, the Word of God, the one called faithful and true. His eyes burned like flames of fire, and on his head were many crowns, symbols of his unmatched sovereignty. His robe, dipped in blood, bore testimony to his sacrifice and his authority to judge. On his thigh was written the name that leaves no doubt, King of Kings and Lord of Lords. We followed him, descending toward the earth in a procession of glory and light. The earth below quaked at his presence, and the armies of the beast looked up in terror. Their leaders, the dragon, the beast, and the false prophet shouted commands, rallying their forces in a final act of defiance. But the king needed no weapon other than his word. Out of his mouth came a sharp sword, cutting through the darkness with the power of truth and justice. His voice, like the roar of many waters, proclaimed the judgment of the nations. Chaos erupted among the armies of the beast. Their weapons were shattered, their banners fell, and their soldiers fled in vain. The battlefield became a scene of divine judgment as the birds of the air, summoned by an angel's call, feasted upon the flesh of the fallen. The beast and the false prophet, symbols of humanity's rebellion and idolatry, were seized. Their dominion had come to an end. We watched as they were cast alive into the lake of fire, their cries silenced forever by the flames of eternal judgment. But the dragon, that ancient serpent who had deceived the nations, remained. Another angel bearing great authority descended from heaven with chains. With divine power, The dragon was bound and cast into the abyss, its gates sealed to prevent him from deceiving the nations for 1,000 years. After the battle, we turned our attention to the great white throne judgment. The throne of the Almighty shone with unapproachable light, and all the dead, great and small, stood before it. Books were opened, revealing the deeds of every individual, while another book, the Book of Life, was examined. For those whose names were not found in the Book of Life, there was no escape from the lake of fire. But for the redeemed, a glorious future awaited. We beheld the new heaven and the new earth, for the old had passed away. The holy city, the New Jerusalem, descended from heaven, radiant like a bride adorned for her husband. The voice of the Lord declared, "Behold, I am making all things new." This was a world, transformed a world where sin and death no longer reigned. The lion lay down with the lamb, and every tear was wiped away. The nations walked in the light of the Lamb, and his glory filled every corner of creation. This was the fulfillment of his promise, the realization of his eternal kingdom. Yet even now, as the time of his return draws near, the enemy rages, desperate to drag as many souls as possible into destruction. We see his schemes, deception, division, and distraction designed to turn hearts away from the truth. But we also see the faithfulness of those who stand firm, clothed in the armor of God, proclaiming the gospel with urgency and boldness. We, the hosts of heaven, bear witness to his power and his love. We urge you to prepare your hearts, for the King is coming. The trumpet will sound, and every eye will see him. Every knee will bow, and every tongue will confess that Jesus Christ is Lord. When that day comes, will you be ready? Will your name be written in the book of life? Today is the day of salvation. Turn to him, trust in him, and join us in proclaiming his eternal glory.